Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and stay standing for the prayer and a moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Panos, the prayer, please.
O Lord, bless thy servants in the ministry of public affairs who serve thee in this chamber. Give them quiet minds and hearts that they may hear thy voice. Help them to know when to speak, when to be silent. Give them strength to oppose the wrong and uphold the right, and grant that they have a good conscience and soul at peace with thee and with one another. Amen.
As is customary in this chamber, we always stand for a moment of silence to honor those men and women who are serving us, protect our freedoms, both home and abroad, our first responders, and those that have given the ultimate sacrifice. Moment of silence, please. Thank you. Please be seated.
This meeting is being held in conformance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice has been given to the newspaper, and notice of the meeting has been posted in public places. Next open meeting of the council will be held on Monday, August 22nd, 2016. Ms. Dungy. Dr. Greenberg. Present. Mr. Green.
Here.
Mr. Mollis.
Here.
Mrs. Panos.
Present.
Mr. Rosencrantz.
Here.
President Cahill.
Here.
7 present.
7 present. We have a quorum for the August 8th Town Council meeting. Okay, let's move on to approval of minutes of previous meetings. Does anybody need to separate any of these, or can we do them as a package? Can I have a motion as a package, please, to accept the minutes?
Move it.
Moved by Mrs. Panos.
Second.
Second by Mr. Green. Roll call, please.
Ms. Dungy? Yes. Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Mollis?
Yes.
Mrs. Panos?
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
President Cahill?
Yes.
7 yes.
We'll go to the bill list. Mr. Rosencrantz?
Thank you, Council President. Bill list combined meeting August 8th, 2016. Accounts payable. August 8th, 2016, $11,035,355.78.
Can I have a motion, please?
Move it.
Moved by Mrs. Panos, second by Mr. Green. Any comments, questions? Seeing and hearing none. Roll call, please.
Ms. Dungy? Yes. Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Mollis?
Yes.
Mrs. Panos?
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
President Cahill?
Yes.
7 yes.
Payroll, August 5th, 2016, $929,230.96.
Can I have a motion, please?
Move it.
Moved by Mrs. Panos. Have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Mollis. Any questions, comments? Seeing and hearing none. Roll call, please.
Ms. Dungy? Yes. Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Mollis?
Yes.
Mrs. Panos?
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
President Cahill?
Yes.
7 yes.
Payroll overtime, August 5th, 2016, $58,895.04.
Can I have a motion, please?
Move it.
Moved by Mrs. Panos. A second, please.
Second.
Second by Mr. Rosencrantz. Mr. Shaw, can you please give a breakout? Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Thank you, Council. As you said, the total overtime for this period was $58,895.04. This period, we had some storm-related overtime in regards to our road department and parks department cleaning up, which totaled $11,561.34. Total police overtime for this period was $37,213.51. Subtracting the grant of $295.44, earned time off, which is contractual, of $9,666.98. The total net the net department for this pay period was $27,251.09, and that also was a result with 2 storm-related incidents on the 25th and on the 30th. It represents 627.8 man and woman hours, and we continue to have 3 officers out on medical leave during this pay period.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any questions on the overtime? Seeing and hearing none?
I
Roll
just
call.
want to say, can I just say something?
Sure.
That, that tree removal for the storm was awesome. I mean, there was, down in South Oak Ridge, there was trees all over the roads, and they were gone by the next day, by that night, most of them. So that was well worth it.
Mr. Green?
Yes, I'd like to also comment on exactly what Councilwoman Panos said. The area that I represent, Ward 5, basically Saywood South, was really hammered by the storm, and I think Public Works did a tremendous job in cleaning it up. they were fantastic, and I couldn't say enough about them. And good job, Public Works. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Roll call, please.
Ms. Dungy? Yes. Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Mollis?
Yes.
Mrs. Panos? Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
President Cahill?
Yes.
7 yes.
That concludes the bill list.
Thank you, Mr. Rosencrantz. Okay, moving on to public hearings and ordinances for second reading. We have H1, Release Reduction Performance Guarantee Walmart Store Number 4153, Block 21,000, Lot 3.11, and Block 21,005, Lot 5, Route 18, application number 90-07P. This is for on-site and off-site improvements. Good evening.
Donald Pepe from Scrincy Hollenbeck on behalf of Walmart. Self-explanatory, we've received a positive review letter from the Township's engineer confirming that the improvements have been performed as required. We have to, of course, post the 2-year maintenance bonds. I have with me this evening, I'd like to just add to the record an affidavit of service and an affidavit of publication from our notice. Didn't have it.
You just give it to the clerk right there. That'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
So respectfully, I'd request that the performance bonds be released and replaced with maintenance bonds.
Great. Sir, name and name for the record, please.
My name is Martin Miller. I'm with Limo Group. I'm in charge of the inspection for the Walmart facility.
Just if you can go a little bit closer to the mic so people can hear you.
For the
Thank you.
Walmart facility, and I'm here to recommend the release of the performance bond for the on-site and off-site improvements.
Okay.
If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Great, thank you. Before I go to council, I'll go to the public. Does anybody want to be heard on the Walmart application? Seeing no hands, I'll close the public portion. Council, any comments, questions?
I'll move it.
Got a motion and a second? Roll call, please.
Ms. Dungy? Yes. Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Mollis?
Yes.
Mrs. Panos? Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
President Cahill?
Yes.
7 yes.
Thank you, gentlemen. Preliminary public comments to the council subject to the following conditions and restrictions. 1, during the preliminary public portion of the meeting, any person may address the township council on one subject for a maximum period of 5 minutes. Any such person desiring to speak during the preliminary public portion shall first sign a list maintained by the township clerk for such purpose. Number 3, comments during the preliminary public comment portion of the meeting shall not encompass second reading ordinances or any other matter for which a comment or public hearing is to occur at the meeting. Do we have anybody signed up?
Harry Barron?
Ms. Barron?
My name is Terry Barron. I'm from Cheesequake Village, and I just wanted to mention about the paving that was done on Main Thoroughfare in the village. They did a beautiful job. It was really needed to be done, and the people of the village thank the township for the work that they did.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it.
That's it? Mm-hmm. I'll close the public portion. We'll go to council member comments. Any council member comments?
Mr. President?
Mr. Miles?
Yes, I have one comment about the people who use Lawrence Parkway in Lawrence Harbor, Ward 1. There's going to be a paving job going on. The county's doing it. It's going to run from the Parkway Bridge all the way down to the firehouse in Lawrence Harbor by the jug handle. They're starting milling tomorrow, paving on the 15th, and striping on the 22nd. These are all subject to the availability of equipment and weather permitting. Just want to be warning everybody that there is going to be some delays and stuff like that you can expect, but that starts tomorrow. It's
Thank you, Mr.
badly
Moss.
needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Greenberg, I think you had your hand up.
Yes, we had a special meeting that addressed the roads in certain developments with the homeowners association, presidents and committees here. Do we have an update on the status of that, where we are with some of the areas that we discussed?
No.
No
As a result
update
of
at
that
this time?
meeting, I don't know what the final verdict was, whether the council was going to take any further action, or perhaps changing some of the agreements we do have in place with some of the homeowners associations.
What meeting are we referring to? I'm sorry. I'm
With
a little-
with the roads that are not public roadways,
Right, I think Mr. Marion was going to set up a workshop, I believe. And that has not been
trying
scheduled
to
yet.
get times together when the
Yeah.
council would be
That
available.
has not been scheduled yet. He was going to schedule it, I believe, August, September.
So
I think
the-
what we took out of the meeting, there's a lot more to it than we thought. There's a lot more discussion that needs to take
Right.
place.
So we're waiting for the special meeting and then, but it will be
A
moving
workshop
forward.
meeting.
It's going to be a
will be-
workshop.
Okay, great, good, thank you. And that's open to the public?
I believe so, yeah, workshop's open to the public. We'd have to publicize it, yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Green?
I'd like to weigh in on this. I know, I've been on the council for almost 17 years now, and we've always had a process in which when a developer builds a facility, a complex that's classified as a planned unit development or a development that's going to be in some way or form managed by the HOA, Homeowners Association, there were certain guidelines as to the quality of the roads as well as the water and sewer, because I'm a commissioner on the Water and Sewer Authority, as to when the township will take over the maintenance of the roads. And they have to fit certain conditions. And I know there have been situations where, for whatever reason, homeowners associations were lax in coming to the township, or the developer was lax in coming to the township and asking for the town to take over the roads. The bottom line is, when that event occurs, there's an inspection of the roads, because the township doesn't want to take over roads that are in lousy condition and has to turn around as soon as they take it over and spend a lot of resources in order to bring them up. So the town says, if you want us to take over your roads, it must satisfy, for instance, they have to be 30 feet wide, and they have to fit certain conditions as far as the quality of the roads, and the same thing with the water and sewer. Deep Run just had a situation where they never applied to the MUA, the Old Bridge Municipal Utilities Authority. They had a big water break, and they came to the MUA and said, well, I want you to fix it. And the MUA says, wait a second, you never came to us and asked us to take over the system. And in order for us to do that, that's going to cost you money. Because again, we don't want to take over something that occurred maybe because of the developer, or maybe because a lack of attention that a homeowners association didn't do over a period of time. Now, I know in one case, and I'm not going to mention the community, they came to us about 8 years ago, and they said, would you take over our roads? And they were told, no, not unless you bring them up to standards. And that's the bottom line. And I'll tell you this, just as an aside, there are residents of homeowners associations that pay $600 a quarter, or $300 a month, or whatever, in order for them to maintain their property. So if somebody comes to me in all fairness and says, well, I've been paying $30 a month for HOA fees, I want you to take over my roads, well, to tell you the truth, my position is going to be, we'll take over your roads, you do what you're supposed to do over this period of time, bring the condition of the roads over so that the township can take it over. Because the bottom line is, it's only a certain amount of money each year that the township can afford for road repair, for curbing, et cetera. And if we get into a situation where this community didn't do what they were supposed to do, and this community didn't do what they're supposed to do, what's going to happen? What's going to happen to the rest of the town? There's only a certain limited amount of money that's available each year. So my response is going to be, workshop or no workshop, my response is going to be, what have you done over the period of time since that development was built? And if you haven't done anything, well, shame on you. And that's my position. My position is, the townships only take over roads, and the MUA should never take over maintenance of the water and sewer facilities unless they pass muster, so to speak. And maybe we're being put pressure on now to revise that. But I'll tell you what, I don't believe in revising it. We had a certain standard. All these developments in the past have been told, this is what you got to do, and they did it. And that's my position now. This is what you're supposed to do. Well, maybe work something out, but you're not going to, I don't believe you should come to us and say, forgive us for our negligence. That's it, thank you.
Any other council comments?
Yes,
Mr.
please.
Rosencrantz.
I'd just like to remind residents about a program that we have in town that's sponsored by Daniak Construction and the owner, John Palmer. It's free Uber rides for anybody who might have gone to a restaurant in town, who might have had a little too much to drink, that's not safe to go home. It's a free ride. Just call Uber, and it's sponsored by one of our residents here. And it'll be free, of course, to anybody who takes advantage of that. So if anybody had forgotten this presentation a while back, I just wanted to remind everybody about it, that they could get a free ride home and a safe ride home.
Any other council comments?
One for Mr. Rosencrantz. Do you know how many restaurants or bars in town are on board with this?
Well, it's any restaurant that serves alcohol in town.
In town? Any?
Any restaurant.
I was going to separate that because on the consent agenda, there's going to be a drive sober or get pulled over that's going to be approved. So aside from, saving your life or saving your kids don't get wrapped around a tree, you don't want to pay for 5 years either. Money.
Any other council comments? I'll just remind the residents that August 13th, this Saturday, is Saltwater Day. It's a nice day down in Lawrence Harbor. Hopefully the weather will hold up. So I encourage the residents of Old Bridge to go to visit and take part in the festivities. It's always a good time. I'll close the council member comments. Do we have a report of the township clerk?
Just a reminder that parking permits are going to expire soon, the end of September. So they're going to be open for renewal September 1st. The renewal by compute on the website. They have an app. And if you need any help, just call the clerk's office.
Great. Can I have
Council
a,
President, just one other thing on this Uber free rides. It's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, 9 p.m. to 2 a.m.
Can I have a motion to accept the township clerk's report, please?
I'll move it.
Moved by Mr. Green. Can I have a second? I'll second it. Roll call, please.
Ms. Dungey? Yes. Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Mollis?
Yes.
Mrs. Panos?
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
Mrs. President Cahill?
Yes.
7 yes.
We have a report of the township attorney.
Nothing, Mr. President.
Nothing at this time. Mr. Mayor, administrative report?
Thank you again, Council. You received a copy before the meeting. Jersey Central Power and Light First Energy 24/7 Power Center. Old Bridge customers who lose power for any reason should call JCP&L directly at 1-888-LIGHTS, 1-888-544-4877 to report an outage. For updated information on power outages, service issues, storm restoration, or important safety tips, residents should also visit the JCP&L First Energy 24/7 Power Center at firstenergycorp.com. I use this often. You see the outages in town when the restoration is going on. Very useful tool to have if you're a resident. New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, Blue Acres Program. The NJDEP Superstorm Sandy Blue Acres team began extending buyout offers to homeowners in Old Bridge Township in April 2015. A total of 29 buyout offers have been extended to date. 24 out of the 29 offers have been accepted. Hard copies of the July 8, 2016 NJDEP Old Bridge buyout status summary report have been forwarded to the Township Clerk's office for distribution to the council. Now we're coming up, I can't believe it's been this long, we're still talking about these residents still going through this. The 9/11 Public Safety Answering Point, PSAP, system replacement. In May of this year, the Old Bridge Police Department received 2 proposals for the installation and configuration of the new 911 system at the OBPD Dispatch Center. A resolution awarding a contract in the amount of $240,828.24 to Carousel Industries under state contract number A83825 will be included on a consent agenda for next week's council meeting. Funding for this project was included in the 2016 capital bond ordinance for general improvements. If anyone has any questions about that system, Sergeant Calvosa is here to answer the questions. Furman Boulevard Stabilization Project. On July 6, 2016, the township received 7 bids for the Furman Boulevard Stabilization Project. A resolution awarding a contract in the amount of $91,972.80 to BGM Construction LLC of Adelphia, New Jersey, will be included on the consent agenda. Tonight's council meeting. Funding for this project was included in the 2016 capital bond ordinance for general improvements. Synthetic ice at the John Piccolo Ice Arena. On July 9th, Game Time completed the installation of synthetic ice at the John Piccolo Ice Arena. The Township Department of Parks and Recreation, Playcorp Wisconsin Incorporated, and doing business as Game Time and Can Ice North America, will be sponsoring an open house at the Ice Arena on August 24th to demo and showcase the project. I have not skated on it yet, but I know people who have. They say it's great. The Township Energy Savings Improvement Program, the ESIP, on July 21st, Tozier DCO Energy received 3 bids for the ECM No. 2 mechanical construction and control upgrades. The base bid ranged in price from $2.391 million to $2.748 million. Hard copies of the July 22nd project status update from Tozier DCO Energy have been forwarded to the township clerks for distribution to the council. As Mr. Mollis had said, Middlesex County Lawrence Parkway Milling and Resurfacing Project. On August 2nd, the township received notification that Middlesex County Department of Infrastructure Management is scheduled to move forward with the milling and paving of Lawrence Parkway from the firehouse to the Parkway Bridge during the week of August 8th. The project is expected to take approximately 2 weeks to complete. If anyone recalls, this project, I believe, was scheduled for last year when the detour was in place. At our request, they postponed it till that bridge was opened. And I believe it also coincided with our Memorial Day parade last year. So the project has been put off for a year for good reason, but now it will be getting done. And we thank the county for staying with that project. New Jersey Government Energy Aggregation Program. Approximately 15,700 residential accounts, or about 80% of the initial eligibility pool, are currently participating in the Old Bridge Community Energy Aggregation Program. Hard copies of the July 22nd, 2016 OBCEA program status report from Gable Associates has been forwarded to the township clerks and has been distributed to the council. Anyone following their electric bill will see that they are saving money on their generation portion of their bill. Old Bridge Food Bank Summer Collections.
I think you skipped recycling.
I'm sorry, number 9, which is very important. The recycling program. The township is again accepting consumer electronic waste, including old computers, monitors, printers, and televisions at the Municipal Recycling Center. To make an appointment or drop-off, residents should contact the Department of Public Works, 732-721-5600, extension 6140, or visit the township website. As everyone knows, the county suspended this program in January, and we've been diligent, and now we're back up again. We're getting rid of electronics here in Old Bridge again. So I'd like to thank everyone who helped getting that up and running again. Old Bridge Food Bank Summer Collections. The Old Bridge Food Bank is still collecting items during the summer months. Collection bins are located in the Municipal Administration Building, Old Bridge Public Library, the Recreation Building, which is the Civic Center, and the Senior Center. For additional information on the food bank or a list of needed items, residents should contact the Old Bridge Food Bank at 732-721-5600, extension 6625. Third quarter tax payments. The Township Division of Tax Collection will be open Monday through Friday between the hours of 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. during the third quarter tax collection period. The tax office will also be open on the hours of 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on August 6th, and between the hours of 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. on August 10th. I know some of that information, those dates have passed already, but there is still time to pay your taxes within the grace period. For additional information, residents should contact the Division of Tax Collection at 732-721-5600, extension 2999. As Council President Cahill stated, Saltwater Day will be held on August 13th from 2 p.m. to dusk at the Old Bridge Waterfront Park in Lawrence Harbor. The event will feature crafts, foods, games, live entertainment, and fireworks. For additional information about this event, residents should contact the Department of Parks and Recreation at 732-721-5600, extension 4999, or visit the Township website at oldbridge.com. The 2016 School Supplies Drive. The Old Bridge Food Bank and the Old Bridge Public Library are sponsoring a school supplies drive for local children in need. Donations will be accepted at the library until August 20th. For every 5 items donated, the library will give the donor a summer reading raffle ticket that will be entered into a prize drawing. For additional information on the school supplies drive or list of needed items, residents should contact the Old Bridge Public Library at 732-721-5600, extension 5028. Mayor Henry's Clean Team. On August 20th, myself and volunteers from the Cheer Dream Warriors, Old Bridge Cheer, the Jade, the Onyx, Old Bridge Junior Varsity Basketball, Old Bridge Junior Knights, the Mites, Old Bridge Lions Club, and the Old Bridge Office of Emergency Management will be cleaning up Beyondy Street, Birch Street, Mimi Road, Partridge Road, Ticetown Road, West Greystone Road, and Cliffwood Beach and Lawrence Harbor beachfronts. For additional information, residents should contact the Clean Communities Coordinator, 732-721-5600, 6107. I invite the council or anyone who wants to participate in those cleanups. Construction Official Certificate of Occupancy and Permit Education Session for the Middlesex County Association of Realtors on August 24th. The construction official and several staff members will be holding a special 1-hour education session for local realtors and on the Certificate of Occupancy and Permit processes in Old Bridge. The event is scheduled to begin at 9:30 a.m. in the Municipal Complex Administration Building. I can tell you we are almost sold out for that event. We have a large number of people participating. That concludes the administrative portion. If anyone has any questions on any of the items that I spoke about, I'll try to answer them. If anyone has any other issues that were not included, I will try to answer them also.
Yeah, just two corrections, Mayor.
Okay.
Item number 3 and number 4, those are going to be on this council agenda.
Yes,
Yeah, just for the record, that's all.
I'm reading it, I didn't
Yeah,
prepare
no, I
it.
understand,
so-
I understand, for sure. Questions for the mayor about the administrative report?
I just have a comment. Item number 8, the energy aggregation program. I did look at my utility bill, my electric bill, from last summer to this summer, and it's roughly, for me, a savings of about $10 or $11 just for that one billing cycle. So if you spread that out over the year, it's more than our tax increase for sure, and a good savings for me.
That was anticipated, it's guaranteed savings, so I know there's a lot of fear about, the opt-out, but it is paying, when you put all the money together that's being saved, it's quite substantial in our town.
Any other comments on the administrative report?
I do, sir.
Mr. Moss?
To the mayor. Mayor, on Furman Boulevard Stabilization Project, I see we're moving ahead with it, right? It's going to be done in the fall. Now, is there a reason why this was moved this fast? Isn't it still in litigation?
I believe there's a active investigation for find the responsible party. I believe that party has been identified.
Right.
So I believe there is action going on. Perhaps we can recoup some of this money back, but this project needed to be done as a result of illegal dumping
Right.
on
Is that
township
driven
property.
by the DEP actually to get it done right away? I mean, I know we're working with the EPA down on the lead, the CAG committee, and they move as slow as could be. I mean, I'm glad to see this getting done as fast as it is, but I figured there was a driving factor behind it, seeing it's not settled yet.
Our engineering department was the driving factor behind getting this done.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Any other comments for the mayor on the administrative report?
Council President, I have
Yes.
one more guest
Yes.
I'd like to bring to the
Can
microphone.
I just accept
Oh,
the...
you want, I'm sorry,
yeah.
go ahead.
Can I get a motion to accept the administrative report, please?
I'll move it.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Rosencrantz, second by Mrs. Panos. Roll call, please.
Ms. Dungy? Yes. Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Green? Mr. Mollis?
Yes.
Mrs. Panos?
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
President Cahill?
Yes.
7 yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, I'd like to bring to the microphone Valerie Castle, our resident expert in Olympic activity going on, and she would like to give us a Lori Hernandez update.
Great.
Good evening. For those of you that don't know, Lori Hernandez is a 16-year-old Old Bridge resident, and is representing the U.S. in Rio at the 2016 Olympics for women's gymnastics. Last night, the U.S. team placed first by over 9 points and is currently the favorite to win the team gold, defending their 2012 title, which was won at the London Games. Last night, Lori Hernandez qualified to compete on balance beam and stands to return to Old Bridge with 2 possible Olympic medals. Mayor Henry generously hosted a meet and greet on July 14th at the Grade 9 Center, where over 700 fans waited to meet our hometown hero. From the success of that event and the interest expressed, Mayor Henry had suggested a public viewing when Lori competes in Rio. The team all-around is tomorrow, so it is unlikely to get anything together in less than 24 hours. However, Lori will be competing on beam on Monday, August 15th at 2:30 p.m. The event will be televised beginning at 8 p.m. and will run until midnight. We would like to know if there's any way to simulcast the event from NBC.com so that the residents may watch during real time. Mayor Henry had suggested possibly using this venue for such a viewing. If this situation is not feasible, a welcome home event has also been suggested by Mayor Henry, with possible dates being August 26th or August 27th, as Lori will return home on August 21st. I am at your disposal to plan and carry out any necessary actions to make these events a success and welcome our Olympian back home to Old Bridge. Thank you.
Great. Congratulations. So,
Don't go in here.
Manchu, is the technology suitable that we could do a viewing here?
Yes, we're working, Tom is working on it, and it will be, this room will have the televised.
Is it available?
So,
I'd
Council,
love to go on that,
two-part event here. I'm thinking the best day to have a public viewing would be on Sunday, August 14th,
Okay.
at approximately 1:45 is when the television, and Lori will be performing at that time. I recommended this room. It has a large screens. I've been told we can have Channel 4 on in this room. It gives us a week to prepare and get any kinks out. During the week, I don't think it would be feasible to have a viewing, public viewing, people watching on their TV, the hours of the day. They're during in the afternoon. I don't know what type of...
It's really not televised until late at night, and because women's gymnastics is so popular,
Right.
they really make you wait until the last
Yeah.
minute.
Right.
I mean, it was on until 11:30. They started.
Way past my bedtime, that's for
I
sure.
know, it was very
So I would ask the council if they have any comments, opinion of doing this on Sunday the 14th. I unfortunately, for the first time in 4.5 years, will not be in town that day. So I would need some assistance. Valerie has promised to, has volunteered to take care of the publication of it, but maybe some of the council could be here to greet our residents.
Anybody interested in helping out?
I know I have a commitment at one.
First of all, does the council want to do that? Do you want me to have this room available on Sunday the 14th?
I'm not speaking for the council, but I assume. Yes.
It's scheduled, the event is scheduled at 1:45, so I'm assuming the Olympics are on, so maybe 12 o'clock, you can come and watch other events.
There's events before
Yes.
and after.
Mr. Rosenkrantz is the lead. Councilman Rosenkrantz.
Okay, but her viewing will be 1:45.
I think it won't be until 2:30, but if we could get people in here starting at 1:45, that would be feasible. That would probably be the best.
You gonna pop the popcorn too, is it? Yeah? All right.
I don't know if, I didn't really even mention this to you, but when we were planning the meet and greet, Monmouth Gymnastics has been so wonderful, and
Yeah, why don't you go to the mic? This way people at home can hear. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's okay.
While we were planning the meet and greet, Monmouth Gymnastics was so accommodating, and they allowed Lori to sign a lot of material and merchandise. And I know Mayor Henry and I had discussed that people really might not come out for this because there's no chance of meeting her or receiving anything. So, I mean, we can have a door prize, not with any money exchanged, of course, because there's legalities to that, but I can, raffle off some autographed material if you think that that would be feasible. Pictures, I have, a couple of things from the gym.
Yeah.
It's up to you. I mean,
I'll be in
anything to
charge.
get them
I
to
think
see.
it's terrific.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right.
Right, everybody okay with that? Seen a lot of nodding heads, I think.
And then we need to start thinking of some type of a welcome home type event. And again, I would ask the council if anyone has any ideas, suggestions, comments, to email me, and we'll figure out what we're going to do. I'm thinking some type of a parade slash caravan through
Sure, sure.
certain parts of town. We'll get the fire department involved. Obviously, PD is going to have to be involved. We'll get everybody involved. Some of our cheer organizations, I think, would want to get involved in some type of, and again, it's going to be up to the availability of when Lori is in town.
Right, yeah.
Right, and how long she will be here. So it's going to be
Good.
not finalized until the final. At least we have more than 4 days this time. So, but we could do it.
Yes.
We're confident in our ability. Valerie is, she can do it. I have no doubt about it.
Great.
That it will get done, and we'll get done right.
We're all proud of Lori, so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyone who watched it last night, I think she should have qualified for the floor.
What do they call it, the human emoji? Is that what they call it?
Yes, the
Yeah?
human emoji, because she's so expressive.
Yeah,
with her
yeah,
face,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, that's great.
I just want to say, I watched it also, but you read about her, and, you know, you're a celebrity now, so people make up stuff. She hurt herself, she did this, that. I actually had to copy some of this, because I wanted to say it tonight. She never once, when she disputed, she said, it's false. Our team is healthy. She never put herself, people are saying, oh, she didn't get, whatever she didn't make, or whatever. She's 16 years old in the Olympics, and she's saying, this is what the team needs. That's what I'll say. You know, they're trying to, media will do that to you, try to pull out some negative. This girl had enough class and everything else at 16, never was the word I in there. She was for the team, for the USA, and I'm quite impressed.
Thank you so much. I have a lot to say. You're absolutely correct, and I think that that's a testament to her parents and also to our town. She has such poise and such charisma. She really is such a role model for young children, and we plan to bring, I'm going to reach out to all of the sports organizations in town, and maybe we could fill up this room to have her, her viewing. But for those of you that don't know also, she is going pro. She made her eligibility, she put that to the wayside, I know, which was very shocking. But the media does try to twist things around, and that even wasn't supposed to come out. I've been talking very closely with Monmouth Gymnastics, and that was a little snafu by the media, so don't believe everything that you read, I guess, is the
made it
moral.
about herself. She was like, hey, the team
She's
is
wonderful. And she's just going to do fine no matter what she does. I'm confident.
You know what was
Right.
was really nice is I get the two newspapers at home, and she's on the front page of both of them. So this morning when I got the newspaper, I said, wow.
Yeah, seeing Old Bridge, New Jersey under her name at the Olympics, hometown, Old Bridge, New Jersey, really, being
Very
broadcast
cool.
all over the world.
Yep.
So, Council, that concludes the administrative report, unless anyone has any questions on other items that I will try to answer.
Any other questions for the mayor while we have him? Okay, thank you, Mr.
Thank you
Mayor.
so much.
Appreciate
Thank you
it.
for your time.
for Lori.
Okay, let's move on to the consent agenda. We have items C1 through C16. Can I have a motion, please, to introduce?
I'll move it.
Moved by Mr. Rosencrantz.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Panos. Before I go to separations, anybody from the public want to be heard on C1 through C16? Sir? This is just on the consent agenda now. Yep.
Philip McGovern, 201 Yorkshire Court in Society Hill. C6 talks about safety improvements at Route 9 and Spring Valley Road. What are those improvements?
But I don't want to speak for the administration, but that is that's just basically a placeholder. When we ask the state to help us out with intersections, we have to commit 25%, which is $29,000 of what it would cost. But as everybody knows, the Transportation Trust Fund is kind of up in the air right now in the state. So that basically is just a placeholder. Mr. Mayor, did I?
Yeah, we're looking for signalization improvements at that intersection. We've had a number of complaints. I think it's in regards to a left turn signal, Nicole, left turn. I remember about 2 years ago, in response to our complaint to the DOT, I believe they made it a smart intersection where they have sensors that will not allow cars to be stuck in the middle of Route 9. All lights will go red, and so that intersection clears.
Right.
I believe now we're looking for a dedicated left-hand signal with the green arrow so you're not turning left into oncoming traffic.
Right.
From Spring Valley. So we're asking for that. We've committed the 25% funds as required from the state, and so hopefully they'll look favorable and do that project.
That answer your question? Great. Sir? C6?
Frank Weber, I'm a resident of Old Bridge, and I'm also the president of the Library Board of Trustees. I thank this for being on the agenda and look forward to it being passed. For those who are not aware of what this involves for the library, we're purchasing a van, which I believe is delivered already or will be delivered this week, and it's to extend services to parts of the town.
C5, you mean you're talking about, right?
C5, correct.
Okay, yeah.
To extend services to parts of the town that we haven't been able to service as well as we would like to, particularly for senior citizens. We're working in conjunction with the Walmart store on Route 18 to have a drop box to make it easier for people who return books from that part of town to help them with traffic issues. And this is primarily being funded out of non-state revenue. It's being funded out of things that the library has increased their revenue on, such as the passport programs. I think it's going to be a win-win for the town and for the library. Thank you.
Anybody else on the consent agenda? I'll close the public portion. Do I have council separations? Separations from council.
That way.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Greenberg?
I'll separate C8 and C10. And I'll just make a comment on C5 and 6.
Any other separations? Okay, can I have a motion on the balance, please?
I'll move it.
Second.
By Mr. Rosencrantz, second by Mrs. Panos. Roll call, please.
Ms. Dungy? Yes. Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Mollis?
Yes.
Mrs. Panos?
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
President Cahill?
Yes.
7 yes.
Dr. Greenberg, C8?
With the fuel management system, could I just have a little update on that, the detail?
Well-
They're taking out the tanks is that,
No, this is the distribution part, which are the pumps and the card reading. We're dealing with the original system down there, installed in the late 70s. You were around back then, maybe you can tell us.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, it's
It
it's
certainly
about
needs to be
25 years
replaced.
old system.
Mrs. Miller was around.
But this is above ground. This is above the ground,
Okay.
takes the fuel from the tanks and put it into the vehicles. I believe it's going to allow us to track the distribution of fuel better. We're getting the ring around the tanks. Maybe get into some details for council. How this is going to be a much better system.
So that we're upgrading a technology that allows for the municipal vehicles, they'll have a tank ring installed so that the people who are using the vehicle, they need to pump gas. They won't need to have any key fob or ID or punch-in code or anything. They just go in, the ring itself recognized by the pump itself technology, and so automatically knows it's municipal vehicle. If you don't have a ring, you can't pump gas. So they'll prevent potential,
Fraud or,
fraud
someone
or
with a
anything.
card putting gas in a personal vehicle. So the gas will only be distributed into a township vehicle.
We also, obviously, our station services other agencies' vehicles. The library will be doing that, first aid, fire, and also MUA. But they're still going to be using a key fob technology. They haven't agreed to install these special tank rings. So they'll be still going back on a key fob, and they'll be tracked and accounted and billed just like we're doing it right now.
thank you.
Any other questions on C8? Mr. Green?
You mentioned a ring. What is this? What is a ring?
It's a computerized, basically, as you know how we connect Wi-Fi connections. It's the same kind of technology where the pump has a recognized, and so the ring has a communication between them, and it recognizes saying, yes, this is an authorized vehicle to pump.
So you use a smartphone?
Yeah, similar to that, but it's not smartphone. It's got its own technology. It's on the vehicle. It's installed. Where you pump the gas, instead of the regular ring, it's going to be a special ring installed on it. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right now, we track gas by the user.
Yes.
This will allow us to track gas by the vehicle.
I know,
Any other comments on C8?
Yes, Councilman. How come the library, the MUA, and who else is going to still use the cards?
In order for them, of course, they can certainly decide and move forward with that technology if they choose to, but we didn't want to impose on them, on other agencies. We wanted to at least start with the municipal agencies. And then, if they see this technology is working properly and helpful, I'm sure they'll come along and that can be easily adopted.
I'm not so sure they'd come along.
Well, it'd be up to them. If they want to better track their usage of gas, we're going to get reimbursed for what they use.
Oh,
They will
okay,
take
okay,
it
that
then,
makes it
and then
better.
they will have to track what it's
that
being
makes it
used
better.
for.
They
Yes.
still get the card, but whatever they use, they pay us for. Okay, I'm okay then.
It'll be up to the user, I mean, the
Absolutely.
libraries are going to have the one vehicle. They know where that gas is going.
No, okay, that's right, okay.
But the multiple vehicles now, that entity will be able to track what vehicle is using the fuel as opposed to the person.
As long as they're paying for what they use.
Any other comments on C8? I get a motion, please, on C8?
Make a motion.
Mr. Mollis moved it. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Panos. Roll call, please.
Ms. Dundry? Yes. Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Mollis?
Yes.
Mrs. Panos? Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
President Cahill?
Yes.
7 yes.
C10, Dr. Greenberg?
Yes, C10. I read the audit, and then tonight, we just got from our CFO some recommendations, and I just had some questions with that. With the overtime that is in the police department, is that similar how other departments track their overtime?
Lot of, I would say, majority of the police department is in a similar situations. There are many, although there are many towns has adopted different technology to track time and attendance for the police department's, staffing. So, but yes, what we have currently and police department is, in fact, we had a meeting today with the software developer to develop the technology so that it can be electronically managed. And because of the scheduling the police has, it gets very difficult if they have to come in and sign off on things. So we're developing technology. And I think if you look at the corrective action plan, the chief indicated, and I agreed, that by December, they'll have this functionally working so that all employees will have assigned timesheets and recorded overtime.
Okay, so usually now when there's overtime, so someone has to sign off on it.
Yes.
Is that how it works?
I will let Sergeant Calvoso provide the full detail on their procedure, but yes, they have a sign-off procedure. There's a manual sign-off procedure.
When an officer or someone works overtime, their immediate supervisor signs off certifying that they were actually there and worked those hours. And in addition, it goes up to the bureau commander, who also signs off on it. The backup to that for us, there's two of them. One is in our computerized scheduling system, which indicates that the overtime was worked along with the regular hours that the employee worked. And we also have a paper version of the scheduling system. So we have multiple backups for, to document that the overtime was actually worked. What we're going to make a change to is to have a digitally signed timesheet that documents both the regular hours that were worked by the employee as well as any overtime hours that were worked.
Okay, so, but my question is, if the audit found that there was a problem, they weren't happy with that system that you had, so then the CFO and the business administrator and the police chief got together and now are making changes to it?
That's correct.
Okay, so I didn't understand the system that you had. They felt that there was a better way to track the overtime. That's the issue?
It's really the straight time and the overtime. The difference that we have is that specifically the patrol officers, their schedule is in our computerized scheduling system and it's on paper, but they don't sign off on a weekly or bi-weekly timesheet. The employees who work Monday through Friday do, but those officers, because of their odd schedules, they don't sign off on a physical timesheet. So the change that we're going to make is they will have a computerized timesheet that they'll sign off on that's going to be similar and consistent with what everyone else does in the town.
Okay, so that satisfied all parties involved, the administration, the business administrator and everything, and it's just a good atmosphere of compliance then?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So there's controls in there then that will be set forth. Okay, thank you very much for that.
Any other comments or
And-
questions? Sorry.
Wait, and then there was the issue that the Director of Finance just told us about, that I just read, for the Recreation Department, and as there are different programs, whether it's summer programs, that it's hard because the fee changes, whether it's Camp Robin, there was different areas, they said, Camp Robin, the summer programs, camps, et cetera. So when those fees change, before they're changed, does that come to the Finance Department and the Business Administrator before they're changed?
Yes, if they change the fee structures, they notify administrations, and we look at, make sure that financial impact is not to the township taxpayers, and generally, if there is an increase, obviously, it will, the reason is that the cost has gone up, and so we generally approve those that are many different activities. But more importantly, under the statute, you must adopt the fee ordinance which you have, and we must make sure that nobody's paying outside of those ordinance. And that was the essence of that comments and recommendations. And so we made sure, and the Director of Recreation has agreed, that he has discussed with his staff that nobody will create any kind of a fee schedule without either communicating with the administrations or making sure incorporating in the ordinance and amending the ordinance.
Okay, so now these recommendations that, first of all, the issues that the auditor defined, and now these recommendations that you've made, were they presented to the auditor and everyone's on board, or is that not necessary? How's that work from here?
Yes, the copy of this action plan is filed obviously with the council, with the state, which I am required to file with it, and the auditors. And if there is, I have discussed this with our auditors, obviously, they are aware of these actions. And for any reasons that we don't comply, and if there's a repeat comments, then it becomes problematic. And I don't think we have experienced any repeat comment in Old Bridge, any situation.
Thank you for your explanation and clarification. I appreciate it.
Anybody else on C10? I got a motion on C10, please.
Make a motion.
Mr. Mollis moved it. Councilwoman Panis, second. Roll call, please.
Ms. Dungy?
Yes?
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Mollis?
Yes.
Mrs. Panos?
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
President Cahill?
Yes.
7 yes.
That concludes the consent agenda. We'll move on to ordinances for first reading. We have FR1 through FR6. I will read these, and then the township attorney will explain what these are. FR1, amending Chapter 250 of the Code of Township of Old Bridge entitled Old Bridge Township Land Development Ordinance by rescinding and replacing Section 250-65 of the Township Land Development Ordinance. FR2, amending Chapter 250 of the Code of Township of Old Bridge entitled Old Bridge Township Land Development Ordinance by amending various sections of same pursuant to the 1999 to 2025 Housing Element and Fair Share Plan adopted by the Township Planning Board, IH1. Amending Chapter 250, creating, sorry about that, creating IH1. FR3, amending Chapter 250 of the Code of Township of Old Bridge entitled Old Bridge Township Land Development Ordinance by amending various sections of the same pursuant to the 1999 to 2025 Housing Element and Fair Share Plan adopted by the Township Planning Board, creating H-Zone. Amending Chapter 250 of the Code of Township of Old Bridge entitled Old Bridge Township Land Development Ordinance by amending various sections of the same pursuant to the 1999 to 2025 Housing Element and Fair Share Plan adopted by the Township Planning Board, creating IH2 zone. FR5, amending Chapter 250 of the Code of the Township of Old Bridge entitled Old Bridge Township Land Development Ordinance by amending various sections of the same pursuant to the 1999 to 2025 housing element and fair share plan adopted by the Township Planning Board, Alfieri, creating MUIH zone. FR 6, amending Chapter 250 of the Code of the Township of Old Bridge entitled Old Bridge Township Land Development Use by amending various sections of the same pursuant to the 1999-2025 housing element and fair share plan adopted by the Town Planning Board, Route 9, MUIH zone. Okay, Mr. Attorney?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. And everyone just take a deep breath and relax a little bit. If you recall, this is part of our affordable housing litigation that we've been discussing, I guess, going back since last year. As you may recall, previously we agreed to a settlement with primarily Fair Share Housing by which the township would meet its housing obligation, as you can see, for the years 1999 to 2025. As part of the process, we've been before the court on 2 occasions, pursuant to which we presented our proposed housing plan, and at that time it was a draft housing plan, by which the town indicated how it would meet its affordable housing obligation. If you may recall, and again this is for the public as well, this litigation was commenced over a year ago as a result of the Council of Affordable Housing failing to meet its statutory duties of coming up with rules and regulations pertaining to the third round, which has been referred to as the third round rules. They were struck down. They were supposed to come up with new rules by date certain. They failed to do that, and consequently, Fair Share Housing Group, which is a non-for-profit organization that was formed years ago for the purpose of ensuring that there's affordable housing opportunities available for residents of New Jersey. They filed a motion with the court. Supreme Court ultimately determined that because the Council of Affordable Housing failed to act, that they were then returning the matters back to the Superior Court, which was the process that occurred before the Council of Affordable Housing was formed. An order was entered back in March of last year, during which municipalities were given a certain amount of time within which to come up with a housing plan and a fair share plan to meet its housing obligation. And that's what we've been undertaking to do since that time. The end result is that if you do not come up with a fair share plan that's acceptable to the court, then you're subject yourselves to being sued by various builders who have an interest. And in this situation in Old Bridge, there are various developers, builders who intervened in that action by virtue of their interest in Old Bridge. Primarily, they're either a property owner or a contract property purchaser, and they were interested in developing in Old Bridge. In working with these interveners and with the court, we came up with a plan by which we could meet our housing obligation. I think it's interesting, or should note that Fair Share Housing hired its own consultant expert, David Kinsey, who's been doing this stuff for a long time, and he had determined, these are approximate numbers, round numbers, that the town's housing obligation for that time would be approximately, if I remember, 2,100, 2,200 housing units. And again, that's just affordable housing units. And what we then did was work with Fair Share Housing, came up with a settlement where, or basically the town's obligation would be 1,300 units for the same time frame. And we were able to do this through various avenues, including providing township-sponsored housing for veterans and disabled individuals, and then also working with various developers who had an opportunity to develop in any event. Those developers primarily are Avalon Bay, Alfieri, the Brunetti Group, Foxborough Associates, and there's one I'm missing. That's it, Avalon Bay, Foxborough, Alfieri, and Brunetti. And so what you have before you are the ordinances that are required to be implemented that set forth the framework by which these developments will ultimately be built. So what's going to be happening simultaneously is that a lot of the work that happens here is required under the law to be in front of the planning board as well. So the planning board has a special meeting scheduled for, I think it's August 16th, in which they will be, because it's their responsibility, they'll be reviewing the town's housing element and fair share plan. The housing element and fair share plan is part of the township overall master plan. That had been reviewed over the years, and again, with respect to affordable housing, we thought we were done when we did it back a few years ago, but the court invalidated that. So the planning board will be having a hearing, I think it's on August 16th, in which they will be considering an amendment to the housing element and fair share plan, which incorporates the terms by which these developers will be permitted to develop. Their developments all of which will include what's referred to as their inclusionary developments. Inclusionary developments, that all of them will have a certain percentage of affordable housing to help the town meet its housing requirements. Once the housing element, assuming it's adopted by the planning board, then what these ordinances then do is implement the method by which these particular developments, who are part of our housing element and fair share plan, will be built. Again, they're all zoning ordinances, so basically they govern the types of uses that can be there, the types of housing that can be there, dealing with signage and things like that. Ultimately, what will happen is tonight these will be introduced. They again go to the planning board, who will consider them in conjunction with the housing element, and then they'll return back on February 22nd for adoption. At that time, Mark Remsa, who is a township planner engaged for the purpose of the for the housing, affordable housing, will be present, along with Steve Kunzman, a special counsel, and possibly Kelly Carey, who's a planning board attorney who's also been working with us in connection with the project. Now, again, this is being done on a two-track basis, again, with the planning board. We ultimately have to be back in front of the court, I believe, on September 19th, at which time the court had previously ordered back in May, and they gave us a short time frame within which to do all these things. Adopt our ordinances, get our fair share plan in place, and that has to be adopted by the September 19th hearing date. And then somebody say, well, what happens if you don't do it? Well, what happens then is if we don't do it, number one, we'll be violating a court order, but number two is the fact that we being Old Bridge, is susceptible to builder's remedy suits. And I can tell you that there's one municipality in Middlesex County that had a hearing with respect to, because they didn't come to a settlement, it's either East Brunswick or South Brunswick. Forgive me which Brunswick I got wrong. Well, one of them went to court, they lost. They had the hearing, they had claimed what their number should be. Judge Wolfson disagreed with their assessment. He agreed with the Fair Share Housing's planner and what his number was. And as a result, they now have to go through a whole process where they're potentially going to be, they're going to be left with what the developers want to do, as opposed to the town having some control. And consequently, as a result of that, while they may have otherwise had a lower a number for affordable housing and overall housing, that number will now be whatever the developers believe that they're able to do. So the danger then is that if you don't follow the process, if you don't follow the law, then the town's in danger of being sued, and I think people may recall builder's remedy suits, and that's what you want to try to avoid. I know we've heard time and again, well, this isn't fair, this isn't right, we shouldn't be doing this, but welcome to New Jersey. And those of you who lived there for some time, this started back in the 1970s when the court basically ruled that their municipalities have a constitutional obligation to provide affordable housing. And we've been working under those rules since that time. So it's not something that you can ignore. It's not something you can put your head in the sand about. It's not something, say, I don't want to do. You may not like it. But again, I think everyone up here, we've talked about this, and sometimes it's a hard pill to swallow. But again, you're elected officials, you're sworn to uphold the law, the Constitution of the state of New Jersey, and it's part of your statutory obligation to do that. I can tell you that based upon the plan that I think we've put forward, it's a plan which knowing the types of development that will be built will be over a number of years, because again, it's from up until, even though, now this is, again, we're in New Jersey, it's from going from 1999 to 2025. Well, we're now in 2016. So there's just all those back years that they actually had to go back, and there's all litigation about that. It's called the gap period. That's continuing. But this takes us through 2025, allows the town to not only meet its need through that time, but also potentially beyond, if and when at some point there's going to be numbers determined as to what the housing obligation is. But I can tell you that with respect to Middlesex County, Judge Wolfson, who's handling these cases, he's been in front of the curve for the most part. He already has a decision, like I said, again, I can't remember if it's East or South Brunswick, in which he came out and came up with the calculation what he thought the formula is. So there's already a determination in place as to what a municipality's obligation would be. And I can tell you that if we followed that formula necessarily, if we hadn't settled, the town's obligation probably potentially have been 500 to 600 units more. And remember, while we talk about a number of 1,300 affordable housing, you got that's only a percentage of the overall number. So in order to get 1,300, we were also able to negotiate for all the developers except for Avalon Bay, where they've agreed to do 20% set aside, and that doesn't always happen. Avalon Bay will be doing 15% set aside, and then we're also able to utilize credits from prior rounds, bringing forward to this year through 2025. So that those are units that we do not have to build because we're receiving credits for it. Again, saving the town that obligation. So again, council, and I apologize to try to get these as soon as I could. We're going back and forth with some other individuals waiting for comments. But again, for the most part, this is introduction. And as that what basically doing was we're creating various zones for these different developments which they'll be placed. And the significant part of this is that they all create inclusionary housing developments, meaning that affordable housing will be built on-site by the developers. And when you look at the different developers in the project that we discussed, it'll be such that the timing will be that it'll be over a number of years. It's not something where it'll happen all at once. It probably will take the full 9 or 10 years for it to not even be fully implemented, to begin to be, some of it to be finished, but not all of it probably. But again, it gives the town an opportunity to ingest the development as it comes along. And I think it's also significant that most of these developments would have occurred anyway. For instance, Foxborough had an approval for some type of residential. Avalon Bay also had the ability to get some approval as well. So I think it's a situation where you do the best that you can, and then along the way will be receiving some benefits. For instance, in the Alfieri development, it's slated to have off-site road improvements along Matterhorn Road and the Garden State Parkway Bridge that they're going to be doing on their own. We've also, as part of that, they've agreed to do some work for the adjoining development Bridgepoint, which have had problems associated with their project. So it's not a situation where they're just coming in and doing what they want to do. We worked with them, but we made sure that they worked with us to ensure that the township was also being treated as fairly as possible. And I am familiar with many towns across the state, some other towns that I represent, and I can tell you that this is a very good settlement for the township. The professionals that worked on it did a very good job, and again, while, first blush, people can say, oh, gosh, these 1,300 units, there's going to be an additional 5,000 units being built. It's either we control the process and do it this way, or we lose control of the process and you get 10,000 houses with, 2,000 or over 2,000 affordable housing units. So I think, again, at the end of the day, it becomes a win-win for everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney. These are first reading ordinances. So can we do them as a package, please? FR1 through FR6. Can I get a motion, please? I'll move it. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Miles. Roll call, please, on FR1 through FR6.
I'd like to comment.
First reading, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, this obviously is my own personal opinion. I think it's unfair put this on for first reading. I always feel that issues like this, or matters like this, or changes in zoning should be discussed firsthand, instead of putting it on for first reading, and then expect the council members to vote on it, because what happens is, if the vote is yes, it goes to the clerk's office and they print it and it appears in the newspaper. And I've had a situation where there was a vote for first reading, and then second reading, and no discussion. When second reading came, I said, I'd like to discuss this item, and I was told, sorry, Rich, you're too late. So I'd like to give, so to speak, my 2 cents on this. I think the township has done a good job with what they have. COA was the result of a lawsuit that goes back a number of years. They refer to it as a Mount Laurel lawsuit, where an agency was formed, state agency, called the Council on Affordable Housing. And they turned around and they were able to tell every municipality in the state a number of affordable housing which they have to build. And I disagree with that. I don't have a problem with municipalities setting aside a certain amount of low to moderate income housing, but I think they should determine where it should go and how many there should be, not the state. And this is like Yogi Berra. It ain't over till it's over. They had round 1, which we satisfied. Then they went to round 2. We get another number. Then they give round 3, which is another number. When is this going to end? Well, subsequently, I guess the state decided, in their wisdom, they didn't want to handle this anymore, so they gave it to the local courts. In our case, Middlesex County handles it. The courts handle the implementation of what we have to do. I applaud the township for hiring an expert, planning expert, as well as an attorney, to come up with a plan that negotiated the number. And to tell you the truth, it's a complicated number that COA has come up with. I mean, they really can't even justify it. So anyway, we were able to negotiate a reduction from, I guess, around 2,000 units, so to speak, to approximately 1,300. And we had a couple of presentations, and the council majority felt that under the circumstances, perhaps we should move forward with this. Okay? Now, the problem I have is here we're given zoning changes. I don't even know where these areas are, to tell you the truth. There's one ordinance change that mentions Amboy Avenue. I try to look it up. I have no idea where it is. You know, so yeah, I would like to see a presentation where they come in and say, here's the area that's going to include this project. And by the way, Mr. Roselli, the attorney, mentioned that the number that you have as far as affordable housing that we have to provide, to me, to make it simple, there's a multiplier. If a developer says, okay, I'll build you 50 affordable houses, well, there's a number that whether it's 5 or 6, they can turn around and say, okay, we'll do 50 affordable housing, but I want 150 on top of that of market value homes. And how do they do that? They do it by building apartments. That's what this is all about. This is all about apartments. You know, if it was 1,300 single-family homes, I wouldn't be too upset about it. But these are apartments. These are I think the number's 5,000 apartments. Is that what we want in Old Bridge? Is that why we moved here? Is that why we lived here? And then you can say, well, it's not going to happen for a few years. Well, time goes by very fast. And I'm looking after the quality of life that currently exists. And this is all about COA, the courts, and the developers who are biting at the bit in order to make a whole lot of money building apartments. And I don't have necessarily anything against apartments, but I want to explain one thing, point out one thing to you. I pay $8,000 in real estate taxes. And there's a lot of people in town, well, there's people in town that pay less, $5,000. There's a lot of people in town pay a lot more than $8,000, okay? What's the breakdown of that tax money that we give every year? 60% go to the Board of Education. The Board of Education, 60%. 20%, this is remarkable, 20% is what the township share is, which pays for all our services, public works, parks and rec, everything, police, everything, 20%. And here's another nice comparison. 17% of your taxes go to the county. 17% compared to 20% that the township is able to use to support services. 17% goes to the county. You ever think about that? Now, here's where I'm getting to. We'll have this Sam Rizzo. I'm sure there's a number that will tell you, generally, on average, how many children live in apartments, okay? Now, in any apartment or renter, tenant, who has a child, how much do they pay in real estate taxes? How much? I pay 60% of $8,000. That's a lot of money. What does an apartment owner pay? Now, ultimately, when these apartments are built, the township loses. And who's gonna pay for it? The residents like you and me. It's no wonder why the seniors there's an exit out of New Jersey because of the way education is funded. And first of all, I don't think we should have apartments. I'll accept if you want single-family homes, but apartments are not financially viable for us. And this is all about developers making a ton of money, building these units, and then turning around, renting it themselves, or letting somebody else, or selling them off and renting something else. So on this, in all fairness, I know we're under constraints with the COA, but I'm not supporting this because I want to know in all these areas here that are pointed out, I want to know, has a developer come to the town, and I know for a fact they have, what do they plan to do? You know, how many units? Tell me, how many units they will, individually, what they want to do, and where exactly is it? And I'm not being shown that. So you can bet I am voting no. And this is nothing about sticking my nose up the COA or the courts. This is all about developers and apartments. That's why I'm voting no. Thank you.
Anybody else want to comment? Does Mr. Green comment? Anybody else want to comment on the first reading ordinances?
I just want to say this.
Mrs. Panos?
I don't want apartments either, but Rich, on April 28th, we were given a presentation. It tells us exactly.
What's that?
On April 28th, we had this presentation. It tells you exactly, maps and everything, what this ordinance proposed changes are. You know, I just want to clarify that.
What are they going to do in those
Okay,
locations?
Rich, I'm not going to read the whole thing. We got it on April 28th.
Okay.
But, what you call it? And, you know, you do your homework and you read this, and you don't like the apartments, but I look at this and say, it's till 2025. And they might change again, I hopefully, and they lessen it. However, if we're mandated by law to pass this by September, Councilor?
Yes, September, I think it's the 19th.
So we're between a rock and a hard place, as I see it. We're either gonna go with this and say, oh, we have a plan, and hopefully they change it, or, you know, we made a decent deal. You know, I don't want 1,300 homes. We got credit for some we built. So we say, no, we're not gonna go with this. So then we get sued and possibly get stuck with the 2,300. In the end, do we spend a lot of money and possibly get stuck with the 2,300? I'm willing to move this up for first reading. Everybody, we could sit down and look at this again and go over what that presentation was on the 28th. I don't like it. There's a lot of things, and I don't even believe it's going to happen. You know, but I'm not going to get sued over it. I don't want this township being sued by the, you know, being taken to, you know, not obeying a court order, being sued by developers, and I'm not one that scares easy, but, and let's just see where it goes. This is a 10-year plan. Things might change again. We'll get credits for more things, or I think it's still up in the courts, but I'm certainly not gonna go past the court mandated date. I can't, in good conscience. Second reading, we could see something, if something else changed, but this has to, at least in good faith, saying, okay, listen, we'll follow the court until. Then we could appeal it, but I'm not gonna be sued by people. I'm not putting the township at that risk.
Anybody else want to comment?
Sure, I'll say something.
Rosencrantz?
Precedent, I believe, has been set, according to Mr. Roselli, in the court, where one of the Brunswicks had gone to the court to debate it and came back with more than what they went in with. And as Mrs. Patno said, you don't want to gamble that way and have additional housing when we made a good deal for the entire township. Nobody likes multiple apartments throughout the town, the burden on our services and on our school system. But the exposure to voting against this, I believe, outweighs, it doesn't benefit the town or the whole town if we vote against this. It probably is the best deal out of a bad situation that we could possibly hope for. I would support this.
Anybody else want to comment before we vote? Okay. I'll just throw in my 2 cents. You know, I agree with everything Mr. Green said philosophically. I mean, it's you know, it's not a good deal for towns like Old Bridge and other towns across the state. Unfortunately, it's the law. We can't choose not to do it. I think what the township did was make the best out of a pretty lousy situation and getting this agreement. So even though I don't like COA and all of its elements, I'll be supporting this because I don't want to get sued. I think when you let developers go to court and potentially up their allowable units, we could be in for a world of hurt. So I will support it. I have a motion and a second. We take a roll call, please. Yes, Mr. Roselli.
I just want to remind you, I mean, there was a couple presentations done to council, and all this information that was filed with the court and that deals with all these developments and locations were also on file with the clerk, so it was available to the public as well. Anyone who requested it could receive a copy of it. Notices were published on our website, so this was information that was made available, because the court required us to do it as well, so just want to make sure that fact's out there as well. Thanks.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Ms. Dungy? Dr. Greenberg?
No vote.
Mr. Green?
No.
Mr. Mollis?
Yes.
Mrs. Panos?
We gotta make some tough decisions. I'm gonna vote yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
President Cahill?
Yes.
4 yes.
Okay.
1 no, 1 abstention.
2 noes.
I'm sorry, 2 noes. Thank
No
you.
vote.
No vote, thank you.
There's no such thing as a no vote.
I know, what's that?
No.
Oh, I voted no. I vote no. I've stated my position multiple times on this
Yeah, we
issue.
voted. We're going to move on.
Yep.
Public comments on any subject matter? Public comments? Yes, please.
Terry Barron, 5A, Indiana Court. I think, to me, this is relative to what you're discussing today. I don't understand why the township, I'm not a legal person, so that's why I'm asking, why there can't be limitations on who lives in these places, how many people live in these places. I do know in the cities, some cities, they do have limitations. If you have a 4-room apartment, you can only have so many people in that 4-room apartment. Why can we not do that here?
I'll let the
I think
attorney-
it's important, especially if you're putting apartments in.
Well,
Yep,
a couple
I'll let
things.
the attorney answer.
Under affordable housing rules, the first thing they look at is income. There's income limits as to how much you qualify for from family income, and that determines whether or not you qualify for affordable housing. So that's number one. The first thing, because it's affordable housing, what they're looking at is your income. So you have to income qualify, and all the people, there's a whole process for people to qualify for affordable housing, and obviously, since affordable, income's one of the issues. The other thing are the size of the proposed dwelling units. Most of them are 1 or 2 bedrooms, so consequently, that's going to limit the number of people who can live in those developments. As part of some of the developments, there's going to be age-restricted component as well. So 55 or older, so that's going to control who can live in those types of developments. But as to a all-out, to tell people how many people that they can necessarily live with or be in their house, there's long history of cases where you're going to lose that fight. So what you try to do is there's a certain number of units that you're required to provide by law. There's called low income, moderate income, and then low income. And again, the size of the units will also determine the number of people who can live there. And one of the other factors is that I believe for most of the developments, for these developments, the owners, the developers will continue to own them. So they have a vested interest. It's not like they're going to get rid of them and they're going to flip it. So it's an investment on their end as well. So I'm sure they have an interest in making sure that they have the proper tenants, that the buildings are going to be taken care of. And you got to remember, it's an inclusionary development. So you're going to have individuals living in affordable units with people who live in market rate units as well. So it's a mix. So there's that whole idea of no one's going to know who your neighbor is because everyone's going to be living together as well. So I think those types of issues sort of will control those types of issues that come up.
I would honestly say it's not going to happen. I live in a 55-year-old community, and we now have a problem where children and grandchildren are moving in. And moving into...
That's usually an HOA issue, especially with an age-restricted.
Well,
so that's a management problem that obviously that's for any development. It's going to be management, and management's got to deal with those types of issues. But a town cannot mandate. I can tell you, you'll lose so fast it's not even funny. Hey, you can't even look at people the wrong way today. You get sued for some discrimination, right? You have brown eyes, I have brown eyes, you don't have brown eyes, somebody's going to sue you over it.
Well, wouldn't that even be a health issue? If you have 4 rooms and you've got 6 people in it?
I mean, those are other issues. It could be if there's a health issue. Those rules don't go away, right? So you still have to maintain your property.
How do you fight that? How do you present that?
I think
if
it's like
there's no law.
Well, yes, there is. It's like any other matter. If your neighbor's not taking care of his property, we get plenty of phone calls to the township saying, "Hey, my neighbor's property's not being taken care of, and maintained. Will you send somebody else?" Like anything else, send out the zoning officer, construction official, do an inspection, and they have to maintain the property. That doesn't go away. I think with some of these, most of these developments, there's going to be a level of property manager on site because of the fact that there's going to be there'll be rental units. So that's part of it as well.
Can I?
Oh, it's public comments.
All right.
You had your hand up in the back?
Robert Thompson, Cliffwood Beach. I just have one question, and I don't know how I was going to ask a completely different question, but I know you can only ask one. But as far as these units, do we have any leverage as far as we could determine that we would like our affordable housing to be 55 and over?
There's rules that limit the number of age-restricted that you could take advantage of. We're maximizing that.
Right,
so that's part of
because that's what I was going to say. Because that's gonna cut down on the drain on your school system.
As well, we have municipally sponsored housing that we have for veterans housing. We also have physically and mentally disabled housing as well. That'll be part of the municipally sponsored. So again, there's just a great demand for that throughout the state. So fortunately for Old Bridge, that's part of the plan as well.
Right, I'm saying, like, if we have any leverage going into the negotiation with these,
We
are we pushing for senior
We
housing?
maximized
As
the
much
areas
senior
that we
housing
could,
as we
yes,
could?
we did, we maximized that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Frank Weber, Central Park, and just by way of experience, I've served on a planning board, and I've served on a board of education and ran their long-range planning committee for a long time, and had done their demographic numbers for free, which was very accurate and successful in helping us get the 2001 referendum through. A couple of things about the town. There already are 6,000 garden apartments in this town, which are close to 23, 24% of the total housing. They send about 17% of the kids to school. They pay taxes through their rent because they are the largest, the owners of those complexes are the largest taxpayers in town. I don't know, I don't have a number what's proportional as to how much taxes they pay for each student, something that should be looked at toward Mr. Green's point. We, as I understand this now, for every 100 homes that get built, approved, whether it's a combination of all apartments or it's single families, like the Brunetti development that's currently underway, there's going to be a ratio of 80 homes that will be fair market and 20 homes that'll be supported housing. Is that correct?
The inclusionary developments, pretty much, yeah. And there'll be 20 set aside.
So to hit that number in 9 years of 1,300, you're going to have to build a total of over 6,000 homes.
But again, you got to remember this, they don't have to be built. There has to be presented the reasonable opportunity for that to occur, and we have to present a plan that allows for that to occur. You know, whether or not it ultimately gets built, that's not on us being the township. That's up to the developers whether or not they do it. And you also, there's a couple of developments it's not all just residential. For instance, in the Route 9 MUIH zone, there's a large commercial component along with that as well. And then in the
Are you talking about Brunetti's property?
yeah,
It's
there's a
got
large
commercial
right
zone.
with that. So and then there's also commercial in connection with the Alfieri. So it's not going to all just be residential. Again, there'll be some commercial components as well. Now, certainly Avalon Bay, which is next to the hospital, is going to be all residential. That's 252 units. Fox Barrel's 30 units. That'll be all residential. And I think if you look at the development, you'll see the ones that'll get built within the next couple of years, just because of economies of scale. A 30-unit, will probably get done. Avalon Bay, and they own their units. They're doing stuff outstate that'll probably get built. The other ones will take some time. And so it allows the town, because of that, to absorb as they come along.
Also, in the last 7 or 8 years since the crash in 2006, which is when it really started, we haven't built 150 single-family homes
Right.
during that period. The market's still dead. We haven't built 350 homes in a single year since the 1980 condo surge. So it's going to be a difficult number, I think, to achieve.
Right. Again, I think that's the other point. When people say, "Well, how come aren't they?" It's like anything else. Well, why aren't they building single-family homes? Well, there's not a market for single-family homes. I mean, like anything else. I mean, developers, they're looking to make money, right? So if the market was there, I believe there's going to be some townhome components as well as part of it. But there isn't a market for single-family homes. That's why they're not building the single-family homes. And if someone came and said, "Hey, we're going to do a single-family home," I don't know. At that point, you weigh at it. If a development has 500 single-family homes, is that better than 200 apartments?
And the current school district is at pretty close to capacity. So whatever happens that's going to accelerate this rate, apartments, a combination of apartments and single-family homes, is going to require new construction, and that'll be an additional burden.
That's correct. You hit it right when you say the end result is 5,000 or 6,000 homes, units. Good point.
Yes, sir.
Josh Goldberg, I live in the Glenwood Apartments. Like the previous speaker said, rental property pays taxes also. The landlord pays the taxes, and as the tenants, we pay the landlord. So to say that we don't pay our fair share or that we don't pay towards the taxes is a mischaracterization.
Move your mic down. a
We
little.
pay our fair share too.
We pay 18% of your rent goes to taxes.
Mrs. Panos?
Well, and I don't know what the percentage is, but I know, the
Yeah.
landlord is not giving us, the landlord doesn't give us anything for free. We pay. So to characterize renters as not paying taxes is just inaccurate. And to call renters a burden on services and school system is not only inaccurate, but it's one heck more of an insult than I was expecting tonight from the town council or members of the town, from a member of the town council. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
I never said,
Well,
I never
no,
said,
no,
I
no,
never
No,
said.
no, only one person,
hold on.
only one person on the council
Hold on.
made the comment that renters are a burden on services and the school system. Only one.
don't know who that
want to be
was.
specific.
This is the public portion.
Only one person said that. And so, again, more of an insult than I needed tonight. Thank you.
Yes, sir?
I'm not going to talk about COA, so we could all
The
relax.
name and address, please, for the record.
Okay. Richard Pucciarelli, 20 Knoll Court, Rambling Knolls. I'm not going to talk about COA. I'm here tonight, basically, number one, to thank the council for repaving the road. Mr. Mayor, thank you for repaving Disbrow Road between Route 34 and 111 Carrington. My only suggestion is, I have two suggestions. Number one, signage needs to be improved. We have an old speed limit sign that says 25 miles per hour, which is non-reflective. And you can't make that turn, that 90-degree turn at 25 miles an hour. There used to be a 15 mile per hour sign there, and I don't know where it went. But we have to slow people down. And now that road has been repaved, I notice people are going faster and coming around that road. I know that whole intersection, Amboy and Amboy 34, the light, and this is all part of the improvements that we're going to do for 34 and Amboy. As well as the visibility behind the Martz farm. Martz is no longer farming that farm anymore. He's got two lots, one facing on 34 and one that's landlocked behind where the greenhouse is on the top of the ravine. I don't know how they're going to ever develop that lot unless they come in through Vale, an entrance through Vale. But I've been talking about this wonderful street for 23 years, so I thought I'd come back once a year and do my yearly Disbrow thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public want to be heard? Yes.
My name is Sophie Munchik. I'm from Central Park. I'm here tonight just to make everybody aware, because I'm not sure if they're not, that a letter is being circulated. And again, it's very upsetting to me. Of course, the writer, I don't know if they were coward or they just didn't have the right information, refused to sign this letter. I do not know where the letter came from, but a lot of people have received it. It's again accusing 3 members of the board of doing things that is just absurd. And it is personal information to the people that's being accused of these things, but because it is public record, I would just like to state that one person, which does upset me because this person would do anything for anyone the right way, has been serving this town for many, many years, has a heart of gold, and she has proven it. And I'm sorry, Dr. Greenberg, I know this is personal to you, but being that it is personal public information, I feel that I do have a right to say. For the many years that this councilwoman and this doctor has been serving this town, she has not taken one dime, not one single dime from this county. The stipend, the insurance, even though many people can double dip, take the insurance from here because you are entitled to it. Not saying you're not. It is offered from the township, but it is her right to say she doesn't want it, even though she can. She works very hard for everything she has. She has a daughter going to college. It is a decent amount that everybody receives every year. If she counted up all the years, she could send her daughter to school for a semester. She is choosing not to, and I am very honored to know that she does that. And the letters that people are getting need to stop. It is all in public record. all I need to say is they need to check it before they write things and put it like that. Just check the record, because it's written on there that she does not take anything. Thank you for your time.
Anybody else from the public want to be heard? I'll close the public portion. Move on to appointments. A1, Ethics Board
I'd like
Committee.
to make a
Term
comment.
expires 12/31/2017.
Mr. President?
Yes, Mr.
Council
Miles?
President, may I please state before we make a vote on these? We got a few applications tonight. When we sat down, I haven't had a chance to read them. Can we postpone this till next meeting? Appointing of the members to the boards.
You would need a motion to table and a second.
All right, I'll make a motion to table.
You have a second?
Waiting for a second.
You have, do I have you have a second? Okay. There's a motion and a table to second. I'm sorry, to motion and a second to table, excuse me. Roll call on the table.
Ms. Dungy? Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
No.
Mr. Mollis?
No.
Mrs. Panos?
No.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
No.
President Cahill?
No. Mr. Miles, you had a nomination?
I guess they want to make a vote on
Mr.
people
Miles,
that
you
we
have a
don't
nom-
even
Yes, sir, I
know to
do.
review them.
You have a
Remember
nomination,
that, but I
Mr.
do have
Miles?
to say, you want to
Ethics
vote on
Committee.
people you didn't even
Dr. Greenberg,
review.
you're out of order. Please be
All right,
quiet, thank you.
I'm not out of order.
Yes, you are.
I'm saying the truth.
Mr. Miles, you have the floor.
For the Ethics Committee, sir, Mr. Arthur Carullo, retired police captain in Old Bridge Township.
You have a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Green is a second. Roll call, please.
Ms. Dungy? Dr. Greenberg?
No.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Mollis?
Yes.
Mrs. Panos?
Artie Crullo has submitted his resume on numerous occasions. We all know Mr. Crullo. Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
President Cahill?
Absolutely, yes. A2,
Five yes, one no, one abstention.
thank you. A2, Recreation Advisory Committee, term expires 12/31/2017.
Council President, can I nominate Paul Porto?
Paul Porto, do you have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Green. Roll call, please.
Excuse me, how many vacancies are on the Ethics Board, and how many vacancies
There's
are on the
one-
Recreation?
There's
of
one
each.
vacancy on the Ethics Board, and there's one vacancy on the Recreation Advisory Board, made by somebody who served on both, who left the township.
Okay,
That's why
and the
there's
two people that you're
vacancies.
putting up are the two people that we just got the recommendations for tonight. Great, thank you.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Dungy? Dr. Greenberg?
Abstain.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Mollis?
Yes.
Mrs. Panos? Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
President Cahill?
Yes.
Five yes.
Moving on to
Two
discussion item, D1, dedicating the township facility in the name of longtime Councilman Reginald Butler. Mr. Green, that is your item.
Yes, I had the pleasure of actually serving on the council with Councilman Butler, Reggie Butler, personally for 17 years. And I'm not sure exactly how long he's been on, 25 years at least, 27 years. That's amazing. He's done a tremendous job, not only for Ward 3, which he represented it, but also the whole township. He was always there to help when a resident in any need, even sometimes financially. He was a great man. The two of us became good friends. We would go out to lunch regularly. We were both commissioners on the Water and Sewer Authority one time. We'd go to training, and we'd have breakfast, lunch, and dinner together. He was a wonderful, wonderful person. And I think it would definitely be fitting, not to prolong this, that we name a building in honor of his name and his tenure for everything that he's done for the residents. So I would suggest the Public Works Building. Actually, there's only a couple left that we can choose, but I know there's been suggestions that, well, name a school after him. But that's, if the Board of Ed wants to do that, that's fine. But this is the township, and we should respect him for everything he did for the town. So I think it should be definitely a township facility, and that's why I recommend Public Works, and I actually had moved to, I'd make a motion to move that we accept the the motion to name the Public Works building after Reggie Butler, a wonderful man.
If you could just hold your motion, maybe other people might want to
Okay,
comment.
sure.
I appreciate that. Anybody else want to comment in this discussion item? Mrs. Dungy?
Yes, I would be very remiss if I didn't speak on Reggie's behalf. As you know, I am replacing Reggie, and as I have walked through my district, specifically where Reggie was, most people there, well, actually, I didn't come across anyone that didn't have anything good to say about Reggie. I've known Reggie for many years, even before I moved to Old Bridge, and Reggie was always a kind and wonderful man. I think that after 27 years, he does deserve to have something in his honor. Thank you.
Anybody else want to be heard on the discussion item? Dr. Greenberg?
Yes, without a doubt, there should be a building named after Reginald Butler. He's had 27 years of service to this town, and as said before, not only to his Ward 3, but to the whole town. Reggie was a decent, honest, fair man, and also, when you talk about him being a friend, friendship goes two ways. Reggie was a friend to many, but that means being a friend back to him. And unfortunately, at the end, there were some people that he felt didn't treat him that way, the way that he did deserve, and that was very upsetting to me. And so, when you talk about Reggie, I talk about him, not what he just did for me, but I'd like to think that I was a friend back to him, and that it is a two-way street. And Reggie's memory will live on in all of us who knew him as a dear friend, and it definitely a building should be named after him, and I hope that will get done very shortly. Thank you.
Anybody else want to be heard in this discussion item? Mrs. Panos?
I'm for naming the building after Reggie. Definitely deserves it, longest-serving councilman. Everybody has their political disagreements or whatever, but they never left this room, so, yes, I want the building to be named after Reggie.
Okay. Anybody else? I agree. I think it's a fine tribute to a man who served Old Bridge for a long, long time. Mr. Mayor, just a question. There was a question about that building as far as it being dedicated at one. Is everything clear in that building? We're good to go?
I don't have that information, Council
Okay.
President. We'll look into it.
Yep.
I don't have any record of that building being dedicated, but there was someone who told me that the building was dedicated years ago, and then someone else, I don't have that recollection, but we'll look, maybe someone who's been here for a while would have a memory of the building. My only comment would be, along with the building, I think these chambers should be named for Reggie. He's the longest-serving councilman within these chambers. I don't think that record will be, and it will also allow us to, visit Reggie at least twice a month as we enter this room. I'd like to see this, maybe, if the council would entertain naming this the Reggie Butler Council Chambers, or with a plaque at least in the hallway here that everyone would view and see his accomplishments. Public Works Building, not too many people go there on a regular basis, but a lot of people come into this building on a daily basis, and to see a plaque of Reggie Butler outside these doors, I think would be also fitting if the council would entertain and administration would support any effort by this council to, in any direction the council wanted to go. So that's all I would say about that.
Yes, Mr. Green.
I heard that rumor as far as Public Works being named after somebody years ago, and I investigated it. I contacted the clerk's office, they did research, and they found that there's no basis to that rumor.
I trust your investigation,
I just wanted to
Mr.
make
Green.
sure,
Thank
that's
you.
all.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I just figured I'd...
Yeah.
Thank you.
And the mayor brings up an interesting point about this, the council chambers.
That's fine.
He spent a lot of time here, obviously.
That's fine.
It might be a good,
But are we going to do both, Public Works and the council chambers?
I would do it, as I said, whatever the council would like to do, name the building, but I just, if we could put a plaque outside this
That's
room.
fine, that's a good idea.
so Mr. Green, you were going to make a motion?
Make a motion to name the Public Works building after council member Reggie Butler.
I'll second it.
So we're going to move that to first reading, Mr. Attorney? Or what do
Yeah, I
you
think you should just, you could do it and then do memorialize it in resolution at the next meeting. So
Okay.
there's something formal to the record as well.
Okay, so we'll memorialize it at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Take a roll call, please.
Ms. Dungy? Yes. Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Mollis?
Yes.
Mrs. Panos? Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
President Kale?
Yes.
7 yes. 7 yes.
Councilmember comments? Anybody want to speak? Mrs. Dungy?
Yes, I would like to speak. I was contacted by constituents over in the Madison Park. They were concerned about the roadway over there. Thank you. They were concerned about the roadway over there that was, is being worked on, and they want to know if that will be completed by time school open with the kids going to school. They're concerned about the metal plates, et cetera, in the roadway, and so they want the kids to be safe when they start back to school.
Which road were we talking about? I'm sorry.
Specifically around,
Say Madison Park School?
yeah, Madison Park, specifically, wait a minute, I have it here, Lear and Harvard.
You familiar with that, Nicole?
I believe that's, it's the public service, a gas main replacement in that area.
Yes.
And I will get a schedule. They were supposed to, I think they have to let the trench settle for a certain amount of time before they come and mill and pave, I believe, to the center line of the roadway. So any road that the gas main was replaced throughout that development will be milled and paved, and I will find that schedule when it will be done.
Okay, but they were concerned that the kids wouldn't get hurt, you know, falling or tripping over the metal plates, et cetera.
They have the obligation to maintain that trench. It's about a foot wide. And we'll make, I'll find out what the schedule is and make sure, see if they can get that done by school.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Councilmember comments?
Yes, can I?
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes, I'd like to respond to the gentleman from Glenwood who highlighted my comment on the housing and being a burden. So while it was not my intent to insult you, additional housing, no matter what it is, does create stress on the municipal capacity for schools, police, and whatever other services the township provides. It was not directed to be an insult to anybody, just to point out that it does stress the capacity of the existing infrastructure.
Any other councilmember comments?
I just wanted to comment
Panos.
on Terry Barron about those restrictions on how many people could live there. There's apartments in my ward, and when there's a fire once, they were gonna place them into another apartment, and the health department said, no, you have 3 kids, it has to be at least a 2-bedroom. Like, there was a restriction on how many people could live in an apartment. Well, when there was a fire in the apartments in my ward, and they were placing families in different apartments, they weren't allowed to place them in an apartment that wasn't a 2-bedroom, and there was 3 kids there. So, just, that happened to me, in my area personally, so I just wanted to, there is something. And, okay, I'll find it for you.
Any other councilmember comments? Motion to adjourn? Move it. Moved by Mr. Green, second by Mrs. Panos. Roll call, please.
Ms. Dungy? Dr. Greenberg? Mr. Green? Mr. Mollis? Mrs. Panos? Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
President Cahill?
Yes.
7 yes.
Good night.
Yeah.